What's going on, y'all? And welcome to JDB's Morning Cap. Today is Wednesday, and guess what the new month is? It's a new month, July. Today is officially July 1st, 2026. I know how excited as July is here. June is over. July. Goodbye, June. Hello, July. So we are in the 7th month of 2026. So we are so looking forward to this one here. Like I said, I'll do a few episodes this month because I'm taking a 1-month break this month. So here's my catch. I will sit out from podcasting starting July 14th. I will sit out for 1 month at the very least. So I just want to make sure I'm going to keep me hydrated and healthy. So that's how crucial it is. So I'll take the right step or two. See what I can do just that here. All right, let's begin this show. Let's start with the NBA. Well, we start breaking news out of the NBA yesterday. Toronto Raptors are bringing back Kawhi Leonard. Toronto Raptors are bringing back Kawhi Leonard, which means the Clippers are sending Brandon Ingram and Grady Dick, along with extensive draft compensation. So the Raptors are bringing Kawhi Leonard back, which means the Clippers are sending Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, and extensive draft compensation. That's what the last time Kawhi Leonard was a Raptor. Kawhi Leonard earned the Raptors their first championship in team history. That was the only one. He spent the only season was 2018-19 season for Kawhi Leonard. So he had great moments in Toronto. He had a game-winning 4 bounces in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals against the Philadelphia 76ers. Kawhi Leonard ruins the Warriors 3-peat champ. Oh, by the way, Kawhi Leonard did ruin their Heat's 3-peat champ when Kawhi was with the Spurs in 2014. So Kawhi Leonard has ruined 2 potential 3-peat champs. He ruined the Heat's 2014 3-peat champs. He won the MVP of the NBA Finals with the Spurs. And then with the Raptors for Kawhi in 2019, he ruined the Warriors 2019 3-peat champs. He also won the MVP of the NBA Finals. So that's how good a Kawhi Leonard is. We've been talking about all this about Kawhi. Kawhi is the best two-way player in the NBA history. I mean, in early careers, he's been the best two-way player in the history of the game. Between middle and late careers, he had to go through some health challenges and off-the-court challenges. But since he came back from injuries, his numbers hasn't quite been eye-popping at times, but he's making plays when it's necessary. That's how good Kawhi Leonard is. He scores, he rebounds, he plays great defense. I mean, that doesn't mean I don't got time for this mess, but I do know this. I love Kawhi Leonard. I love him to death because it feels like when I trust Kawhi Leonard, you're in a better spot. Now, you're having an opportunity to put yourself in a better position right now. So now, the Raptors last year, they got better. So now here are the Raptors projecting starting lineup other than Scotty Barnes and Kawhi Leonard. Here's the rest of its lineup. Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, and Jakob Poeltl are the rest of its starting lineups other than Leonard and Barnes. So they got some guys that can be productive offensively. But what the Raptors do need, they need a better bench depth. Even though they had some talented on the bench, Jamar Shed, Jacoby Walter, and Colin Murray Bowles, there's some decent bright spots off the bench, but they gotta get better off the Raptors do need better bench play. The Raptors bench production has been a struggle last year. This year they expect to improve. And how? They need to add some pieces. The Raptors did re-sign Trace Jackson Davis. So they need some type of production off the bench for Toronto. So Toronto's projected win totals. Here we go. They said the win total goes 50.5 wins for the Raptors. Should I pick the over or the under 50.5 wins? I'll pick the over 50.5 wins. I think they're gonna be better than in Boston, the Knicks, the Cavs, Detroit. This team will be dangerous in the Eastern Conference. If they can get past Boston, they can get past New York, they can get past Cleveland. Maybe Detroit. This team would be dangerous in the Eastern Conference. Maybe Orlando. Orlando could be the one. They can get one of those past. So it's going to be interesting who's going to come out of the East in 2026-27 season. And as of now, the favorite's going to be the New York Knicks. Second is the Boston Celtics. So the Cavs are number 3. And then you got Detroit, number 4. The Eastern Conference expect to be stacked and loaded. And that's not out of the question right now. Maybe Washington. Washington could be in the mix to improve the Eastern Conference play. Speaking of the Wizards, according to Shams Charania, Wizards, actually former NBA champion Anthony Davis, isn't expected to go anywhere. as far as trade moves, which means there's a chance that Anthony Davis would stay in Washington to possibly work with Trae Young. So the words aren't. I mean, the NBA, they say they're not interested in Anthony Davis of trading elsewhere. So you don't know what that means. Yeah, but the only problem is, all right, how the war? Okay, so now, is it worth it that Anthony Davis isn't going to be traded? Do you think they deserve that? No. I think the only way Anthony Davis deserves not to be traded is he needs to rely on himself and not rely on anyone else. But I'm surprised that Anthony Davis is taken out of his context, dealing with a ton of injuries since he won the title. But the only thing is, the Wizards have give a bunch of luxury tax, not just Anthony Davis, Trae Young, but it doesn't affect the cap space that much. The Wizards' cap space is probably small, and that's a good thing for the Wizards. The Wizards' cap space is pretty small, and why? It adds more young talents. It adds, so it's and relying on less veteran experiences like Trae Young and Anthony Davis. But the cap space, like I said, is small, but you make a bunch of money with those cap spaces. So they did a pretty good job to save one of those electric contracts. You do not, instead of make a serious financial decision. But I tell you what, keeping Anthony Davis in Washington is actually significant. This is a team they try to get better. They don't have to be top 5 in the East. Wizards don't have to be top 5. They could be at least a play-in team, or they could be at least top 6 to get better. I think Wizards should be top 6 so they can get better, and they can start winning basketball games. Wizards have not made a playoff since 2021. That's the last time the Wizards have made a playoffs. Wizards have been bad for years. This Washington sports teams have been bad for years. The Wizards, the Nationals have been bad. Commanders have been bad at times. It's in some years. The only team that has not been bad is the Washington Capitals hockey. They've been pretty decent. But the Washington Wizards have been one of the worst teams in basketball over the last 4 years. So they try to get a monumental back in the playoffs. But this is the right moment. Because of that, you're in the situation. Which player who you trust with, and that's not who they are. The only thing is, you have one luxury tax. Should the Wizards could have added LeBron James? Should the Wizards bring Draymond Green to work with all these guys? If Anthony Davis had left, they could have bring Draymond Green instead of Anthony Davis. That would have been better. Instead, with Anthony Davis remain as Wizard, it felt like you got plenty of opportunities. working with Kyrie Irving with the Mavericks and Anthony Davis, it didn't work out. It just didn't work out at all. Which means we've seen a lot of growth and a lot of formalities. We've seen a whole lot of stuff going on as at this point on there. All right. When we come back, we will continue to talk about free agent signings. There's few more who sign, like either stay with a team or sign with a new club. Also coming up next, the Yankees continue to struggle. They have now lost how many games in a row? And how many games they lost in each of their last 13 games. Also, we're talking about tempers flaring in capital of Boston, Massachusetts. So I'm going to cover all this in a couple of minutes. All right, so we have a handful of free agent signings. For the NBA free agency day one began last night. So here it is. The Heat has signed Tim Hardaway Jr., the son of Tim Hardaway Sr. So he's going to play where his father played in Miami Heat. So he signed a 1 year, $6.5 million deal to be with the Heat. So it looks like we'll talk about that in just a few moments. Here's the other free agent signings. Instead, we mentioned the Rockets have signed Marcus Smart with a 2-year, $13 million contract. So that's pretty significant. Also, other free agent signings. Other notable free agent signings. Nikola Vucevic. The Magic is bringing back Nikola Vucevic in a 1 year, $3.9 million deal with Orlando Magic. And then the Nets have signed Mo Wagner, a 2-year, $19 million deal. And the Boston Celtics have signed Mike Conley Jr. in a 1-year contract. So there's notable free agent signings, and then DeAndre Jordan has signed a 1-year deal with the New Orleans Pelicans to return for his 19th season. So right now, and then the Sixers, and the biggest one, the Philadelphia 76ers have signed Dean Wade in a 4-year, $39 million contract with the Philadelphia 76ers. So who do you think who's the biggest winner in day one of the NBA free agency? We'll get to that in a second. And the Bulls already signed Norman Powell in a 2-year, $45 million deal. Now let's go back to that question. Who was the biggest winner of the NBA free agency day one? It's the Philadelphia 76ers. The Philadelphia 76ers won the NBA free agency day one. Adding Dean Wade is significant. I think he'll be comfortable with this team. I believe that the assets, and I do believe that I think Dean could step up with. I think Dean Wade is going to step up when Embiid is out, or other star players like Maxey or George is out. So Dean Wade expect to be the most improved player in the NBA next year. So I think he's the biggest winner. That the Heat signed to Howard Jr., the son of Tim Hardaway Sr., used to play with Miami Heat back in his old days. Now Tim Hardaway Jr., he expects to be a starting shooting guard. He expects to have a big year. And we already know what the situation is. And we've seen a whole lot of stuff to get to. And it's always going to help their own cause because of that. And you put yourself in a really good situation. So, this is what's been going on with this one here. And in addition, we can see everything else going with it. So, the depth is expected to be really different for them. All right, so, and then the Rockets at Marcus Smart. I think the offense expect to be a little bit better with Houston. The guard play was an issue last year with Houston. That led to a first-round exit for Houston. They lost in 6 games against the Lakers. They'll try to prove it next season to contend in the West. So, it's not a problem. It's just because if you don't win, you win. If you don't win, you win. Take that under consideration. It's just because you did everything right to say this at all costs. And there's nothing else I can believe you. It's a different story right now. It's a different world right now. You would have took that. We'll talk more. All right, we do have a couple more breaking news out of the NBA today. I think this is just moments ago. So we'll keep you updated right after this. Welcome back here. We have breaking news out of the NBA. Here's the first one. The Lakers are acquiring Walker Kessler from the Utah Jazz, exchanging for unprotected first-round 2031 picks and 2033 first-round swaps in 2028 and 2030. Also, the Lakers will sign Walker Kessler in a massive four-year, $130 million contract with the Lakers. So which means he will team up with Luka Doncic. Lakers need some type of length from Walker Kessler. So LeBron James leaving the Lakers led to the acquiring of Walker Kessler. So the Lakers try to go younger with J.J. Redick as their head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. So, and also, we'll get to that, the Lakers situation in just a moment. And we have other breaking news that the Celtics have signed the NBA champion, the big, Mitchell Mitch Robinson, has agreed a 3-year, $47.4 million contract, plus the option after the second season, in the third season. So, Mitchell Robinson move to the other side of the rivalry, the Boston Celtics. So the Celtics did add two guys. They added Robinson and Mike Conley Jr. So now, which player who deserved better? Which player who have a better season? Which player who has a better season, Kessler or Robinson? Well, honestly, I think Mitchell Robinson will have a better season than Walker Kessler. But Kessler has scored more points than Robinson. Well, I think Mitchell Robinson will have a better season as far as scoring, minutes. He's not a great free throw shooter at all the time, but I do know this. I do love the fact that these guys can play. These guys can always play. And it does make the path a whole lot easier when you tell all this. So it'll always going to help their own cause. But we always going to refurbish it at this point on. So and that's going to be that at this point on. So thanks to this in this one here. As for Walker Kessler, he spent Walker Kessler, he was drafted in 2022 with the Memphis Grizzlies before he got traded to the Utah Jazz during that draft. So he spent 4 seasons with the Utah Jazz. But last year, he only played 5 games due to an injury. He has played 201 career games and 125 starts. So I'm hoping that Walker Kessler will have a big year for the Los Angeles Lakers. So this is what happened because this is what happened. We just making sure that we are putting yourself in a better position with Luka Doncic. So the Lakers projecting starting lineups, barring other free agent signings. So we had Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, Jake LaRavia, Jared Vanderbilt, and Walker Kessler. So that's the Lakers' new projecting starting lineup. That's actually better. So the Lakers are actually going to be better as far as pace. The defense, I think defense is going to be a little bit better. But defense with LeBron James, they've been struggling. But I think defense will be a little bit better. They're not going to be top 5 or top 10 defense, but they're going to be better as far as their defensive metrics. So we'll see how it goes for the Los Angeles Lakers. And we'll see how this is going to work out for the best. As for the Celtics, The Celtics projecting starting lineup: Conley and Mitchell Robinson both signed with the Celtics. So the depth, the Celtics got a good depth of their own. So right now, so number one is going to be Derek White. Number two, and then shooting guard. Shooting guard is started by committee. Sam Hauser should be a starting. Actually, Derek White will be the starting shooting guard. The point guard is going to be Mike Conley. And keep Peyton Pritchard at 6 men. Then Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown is small forward, and Jason Tatum power forward, and center is going to be Neemias Queta. So that's my projecting starting five for the Celtics. My projecting starting five for the Celtics is Conley, White, Brown, Tatum, and Queta. That's your projecting starting lineup. Off the bench, Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, Mitchell Robinson. We've seen several players who will come off the bench. So we'll see how it plays out. Or they decided to start Mitchell Robinson for Joe Mazzulla. So there's a lot to decide in this one. All right, when we come back to JDB's Morning Cap, we'll talk the New York Yankees struggles continues as they face the Tigers in Game 2 of the 3-game set yesterday. We'll find out what is the final score of that game yesterday. Also coming up on JDB's Morning Cap, tempers flaring in Boston between the Nationals and Red Sox. We'll talk about that in about a couple of minutes. Welcome back to JDB's Morning Cap. As Cade Cavalli the Red Sox squared off against the Washington Nationals in Game 2 of this 3-game set. Cade Cavalli struck out Willson Contreras looking, and then Cavalli said to Contreras, "Sit down, boy." And then Contreras said, "What did you say to me?" And then the tensions boils over, and then causes the benches to clear, and then things got really messy. Willson Contreras threw his helmet to the Nationals' opponent, and they started to pushing and shoving, and then tempers were flaring last night, and 4 people were ejected yesterday for the Red Sox. Willson Contreras, remember, he was ejected on Monday night for tapping his helmet when he struck out on a check swing appeal by first base umpire Nick Lentz. And then last night he was ejected for throwing a helmet at the opponent when he struck out looking. And then Nate Eaton, he did not play the game yesterday. He was also ejected for instigating Miles Michaelis. And then the Nationals, actually, and also Chad Tracy, the interim Red Sox manager, was ejected for not giving warnings. There was the 3 Red Sox ejections, and then 1 national ejection was Miles Michaelis. He got into Eaton's face, something like that. However, Cade Cavalli was impressive last night on the mound. Despite the dust-up, Cade Cavalli was actually pretty good yesterday. Cavalli went 7 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs. He didn't walk anyone. 13 strikeouts. He did have 1 run. He did give up 1 run. Willson Contreras reaching on Curtis Mead's fielding error. That was in the first inning. And then it was all Nationals since. Nationals did beat the Red Sox last night, 8-1, to split the first 2 games of this series. James Wood homered. Actually, C.J. Abrams homered. C.J. Abrams homered for the Nationals last night. That was the only home run that game last night. So there's nowhere else to get around it with this stuff. What should they do? We know they're going to suspend Willson Contreras for his actions, and there's going to be suspension of Miles Michaelis. He'll probably get suspended as well. So we'll see how it goes here. I'll be back in about 1 minute. All right, so let's move on to this. As the Yankees are set, the Yankees were in action last night. They faced Detroit Tigers in Yankee Stadium. Cam Schlitter was on the mound for the Yankees last night. He gave up 3 first-inning home runs. The first one, Kerry Carpenter hit a home run when Spencer Jones tried to rob it, but he couldn't hold on. And that made it Tigers 1-0. And then Riley Green joins a home run party, back-to-back home runs to make it 2-0. And then there's a man on base, Spencer Torkelson. He had a huge night at the plate. He hit a 2-run shot to make it 4-0. And then Riley Green picked up his second home run. Riley Green picked up his second home run in the let's see where Riley Green. Riley Green picked up his second home run in the 3rd inning to make it 6-1. So Cam Schlitter struggled. He gave up 4 home runs. The Tigers hit 5 home runs overall. James Outman hit it out in the 6th inning against a different pitcher. Outman homered in the 6th inning against Ryan Yarbrough. Cam Schlitter finished 4 innings, 7 hits, 6 earned, walked 1, struck out 5. His worst outing of the season for Cam Schlitter. Yankees offense continues to struggle. This is now the 9th game out of the 13 total games when they scored 3 runs or less. However, the Yankees did go 4 hits. Yankees had 3 hits or less in their previous 3 games. So 3 of their last 4 games, they have gone 3 hits or fewer. Tarik Skubal actually figured it out last night. He went 6 innings, allowed just 1 hit and 1 earned run. The only hit was a Ben Rice 2-out first-inning home run. That was Ben Rice. That was his 23rd home run of the year, by the way. He did not walk anyone. He struck out 9 batters. So he's going back in his Cy Young self. So Tarik Skubal got the win on the mound. Schlitter got the loss for the Yankees. So Yankees' June struggles continues. Yankees June record this year, we know. Okay, so let's see what the June. The Yankees do not play their first game of June until June 2nd. Yankees finished 12-14 in the month of June. They also closed out the month on a 6-game losing streak. They finished the month of June a 6-game losing streak. And that's where they actually were. As a matter of fact, they actually where they at right now. They're on a 6-game losing streak to close out the month of June and overall. So that is the longest losing streak by end of the month in franchise history. Yankees have never had the longest losing streak by end of the month. For the first time, the first time in the Brian Cashman era, they end the month on a 6+ game losing streak by the end of the month. That's incredible. For the first time in the Brian Cashman era, they closed out the month in a 6+ game losing streak. That's unreal. And yes, speaking of real, it's their offense. The offense has really struggled. And now you turn over the month of July. And that's what really happens here. Yankees are 2-3 in a regular season series against Detroit Tigers. So they have struggled against these Tigers. Last week they did win 2 out of 3 against the Tigers last week in Detroit. But you dropped the first 2 games. Today, the Tigers are lurking for a sweep here today on the road in New York City. Yankees try to snap a 6-game losing streak. They have not won since June 25th. Take that back. Yankees have not won a game since June 24th. I'm sorry. The last time the Yankees have won was June 24th. But they have lost their previous 6 games. Let's see if the Yankees can turn this month around. At this point on, they finish a brutal way to end the month of June. After they started the season, actually they started the month pretty good, and then they had a rough stretch. So Yankees finished the month, I believe, 12-13. 12-14, something like that. Yeah, either. It's a really tough stretch. Really tough stretch right now. All right, let's close out of JDB's morning cap. So here's the catch. I will not do JDB's morning cap podcast tomorrow and Friday because I had something to do because it's Independence Day weekend. Independence Day is on July 4th, which is this Saturday. So I'll try to barbecue Friday ahead of the 4th of July. So it's going to be great barbecue. We all know that. So, and also the reason why I'll podcast for 3 days a week. So I'm still gonna do 5 days a week. I'm not gonna do that until end of the month of August. So we'll see how that's gonna go here. Next week, I will do. I will be back on Monday. I'll do another 3 day week, 3 days a week thing. We'll do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday again next week, and we'll recap all the free agencies in the NBA. First half of the NBA season is almost drawn to a close. Who's been the most surprising? Who's been the most disappointing? We'll talk all that. We'll get to all that next week and beyond that. So there's a lot going on at this point on. So we should be okay with that. And I'm planning to talk the NFL next week too. I'll look for teams to see there's some outlooks and their schedule. Well, I'll talk some more about that next week as it develops here. This one there. All right, man. I'm out. This is JDB's Morning Cap. Enjoy your wonderful Independence weekend. We'll see you on Monday.